welcome back to Let's Talk. My name is John, and today here on the channel, we're going to be talking about 1996's Fargo and its new 4K Blu-ray from Shout Factory. So Fargo was originally released in 1996 and is one of the biggest rip-offs in the Academy Awards history. It lost Best Picture to The English Patient. Don't get me wrong, The English Patient is a pretty decent film, but compared to Fargo, in my opinion, Fargo is still the Coen brothers' best film. Although I gotta admit, No Country for Old Men, every time I watch, it's kind of inching up closer and closer to passing Fargo as my favorite Coen brothers film. But still, what sets this film apart in the Coen brothers' filmography, in my opinion, is just that beautiful cinematography done by Roger Deakins. Now, Roger Deakins actually didn't even win the Academy Award, which is insane if that's true, because it is one of the best looking films that I have ever seen, one of the best shot films I've ever seen. Luckily, Roger Deakins finally got his flowers for movies like Blade Runner 2049, then he got his second Academy Award with 1917. Now, I love both of those movies and the way they're shot, but I still think that the best film that he ever shot was this one, 1996's Fargo. It is gorgeous. Now, I'm a little bit biased. I love movies set in the snow, like The Thing. I just think it lends itself. It becomes so much more cinematic, and I live in an area where it snows pretty often, and I've always found snow to be just so beautiful and quiet and peaceful, and I think that's one thing that attracts me to this film itself, is because it's supposed to be a quiet, peaceful, well-mannered community when something dark happens. William H. Macy, he's a car salesman. He lives a pretty good life. He's married, he's got a good son, a good wife who loves him, but unfortunately for him, he feels like a failure. Basically, his life is a fraud. His father-in-law has been taking care of him and his wife his whole life. He doesn't feel like he's gotten anything for himself, and one day he comes up with a great idea that could actually make him look like the hero, but unfortunately he has to do something illegal for that to happen. So he sets up his wife to be kidnapped by these two men played by Steve Buscemi and Peter Stormare, who I actually really love. I always recognize him as John Abruzzi from Prison Break or in Bad Boys 2. He's a great actor. He always pops up. He's a very recognizable face. And from this movie, he doesn't really have too many lines because him and Steve Buscemi have this really good relationship in the sense that the two of them, they get hired by William H. Macy to kidnap his wife, hold her hostage for $80,000. The two of them and William H. Macy, they'll split the difference, $40,000 right down the middle, just so they can get that money from his father-in-law, who's very, very, very wealthy. So they hold her hostage, and then, of course, the rest of the movie just goes off the rails from there. But there are so many great performances in this movie, whether it be from William H. Macy or Steve Buscemi, but the best performance in this movie, and it won her an Academy Award, is Frances McDermott.
Somebody shut his lights. I guess the little guy sat in there waiting for his buddy to come back.
Yeah, it would have been cold out here.
One of 3 Academy Awards. Frances McDermott is one of our greatest living actresses right now. She still turns out Academy Award-winning performances year after year, well-deserved Academy Award-winning performances, but the way she nails down that Minnesota accent that she has in it. Don't you use that language there. I just love how that accent is, and that's the kind of the point of this movie, again, showing the dark side of this very friendly Minnesota nice area, how everyone is just so polite, but they can still be petty, they can still be rude, and they can still throw some shade at you, but they do it with a smile, and that's kind of the point. You know, this very, very dark tale. This movie features a lot of murders, a lot of brutal murders at that, but yet at the same time, it's very funny. Steve Buscemi is just turning out the jokes one after one, but they're very, very, very dark jokes, you know.
Saying we can stop, get pancakes, and then we'll get laid, all right?
When somebody gets shot in the face, you know, he's like, ooh, daddy. Like, that stuff is great, but, you know, it's not supposed to be funny, but yet you're still chuckling a bit. You know, when we get to the one guard booth scene and the guy he just went up there, looked at a license plate, came back down. He's probably in there for about, I don't know, 10 minutes. He comes down, and the guy running the booth's like, oh, you know, we still have to charge you the $4. And he's smiling, and Steve Buscemi's pulling out his wallet. He's pissed off, you know. Like a true New Yorker, he's like, you think you're some kind of authority figure, huh? You know, feel like a big man, gives him the $4 and pretty much tells him to go fuck himself. That's a very New York thing, and I just absolutely love that. It's a fish out of water movie in a sense, too, with Steve Buscemi, who just can't understand why all these people are acting the way that they're acting in this area. It just doesn't make sense. You know, here in New York, you know, everyone wouldn't do that. They're not very polite in this area of the country, unfortunately. I wish they were, but they're not. But in Minnesota, North Dakota up there, they're all really friendly and nice, but there's still a dark side to them, and I love that this movie is trying to show you what that dark side is, and this movie is so successful. Like I said, it won a couple Academy Awards, should have won Best Picture. It actually started a very, very successful FX TV show that is still going on right now. It's going to have its 5th season coming out this very year. I still think the first 2 seasons of that show are the best, but all the seasons of that show have a high quality, just like the film itself. I still don't think that they can get close to what the film is. The film itself is still the Coen brothers' best film. It's shot incredibly. Roger Deakins best film that he's ever shot, in my opinion. Just looks absolutely gorgeous. That one scene where they get pulled over by the cop and they eventually end up murdering him very early in the movie. I mean, that scene with the police lights in the background, then when they shoot him in the head, the blood splatters on Steve Buscemi's face, and that red blood just sticking there on his face.
You're smooth, you know.
Oh, Daddy.
I mean, that is just a gorgeous shot, just with that one little bright light kind of shining on his face. I mean, I just can go on and on about Roger Deakins' cinematography in this film. It's just so well done. And of course, the writing by the Coen brothers. Apparently, they write in just every single thing that they want you to say, and they do it perfectly. Every little stutter, William H. Macy said that it's in there, is actually written into the script. They're very meticulous with how they do their scripts and how they shoot their films. They know what they want, and they make sure that they get it. And they just do a fantastic job. They've made some of the best films in film history. I think they're a little bit underappreciated. You know, not many of their movies have been box office successes, but they have been successes with the Academy Award, and I think it's very well deserved. This one is in the National Library of Congress for being culturally significant, mainly because it's just such a damn good movie, and it's one I think you should check out if you haven't seen it. So anyway, guys, it's also time for us to talk about that Shout Factory 4K Blu-ray, and that's what we're going to do right now. But before we do that, if you are a fan of movie reviews, 4K Blu-ray reviews, lists, podcasts, and shorts, we do them here on the channel almost every single day, and nothing would help this channel out more than just by you simply liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and if you want to support us financially, we also have channel memberships that you can check out in the description below. But let's talk about this 4K Blu-ray.
How the fuck do you split a fucking car, you dummy?
Well, here it is, Fargo on 4K Blu-ray, courtesy of Shout Select. And this one, I was a little bit surprised. I was a little bit bummed out, actually, a little bit about the standard packaging, the slipcover packaging of it. Seems a little bit plain Jane, kind of just the original movie poster. And the way it came out, I didn't feel like many people were as excited about this coming to 4K Blu-ray as I was. This would be up near my top 10 most anticipated 4K Blu-rays ever, because it's just so well shot, and it's just like eye candy. I wanted to see what they could do with the visuals on this. That's what attracted me to it. So this was one of my most anticipated for the rest of 2023. I am so excited it finally came to 4K Blu-ray. But it didn't seem like it got all the bells and whistles of other popular films. So maybe this movie isn't as popular as I think it is. I think it's one of the best Coen Brothers movies. I actually think it is the best Coen Brothers movies that's ever been released. So it's a little bit disappointing that it doesn't seem to have the fanfare that I would hope it would have. Again, got overlooked for Best Picture. But anyway, I actually compared this to my previous Blu-ray from 2014 to see how it's been upgraded since then. That one was put out by MGM. This one, Shout Select. So anyway, you slide the slip cover off. There's a much better edition that you can get off of Shout Factory's website if you'd like to get it from there. Comes with a little bit more stuff as well. It is a Blu-ray and a 4K Blu-ray, which I always appreciate when they do that. Sometimes Shout Select especially always will skip out and not give us that second Blu-ray, but I'm really glad that they did. And that second Blu-ray, I'm not 100% sure if it's the same Blu-ray that I have packed in here, just changed with menu systems, or if it's a downgraded version of this 4K Blu-ray, because when I compared the Blu-ray that's packed in here to the previous Blu-ray that I have, they were pretty much the same. I didn't see too many differences. It would be really hard. I would have to set up two TVs next to each other to see what the real differences are, because that previous 2014 Blu-ray really isn't that bad. The only thing I could say is it's just not really that bright, mainly because it's a Blu-ray, so they want to still try and hit those deep blacks, mainly because it's such a beautiful looking film, but it's at the expense of the brightness of the Blu-ray entirely, so, you know, you can definitely notice that, and that's why bringing it to 4K Blu-ray with HDR and Dolby Vision is very important. So I'm really glad that they did that, and the visuals are the standout piece in this 4K Blu-ray experience, 100%, because everything else is exactly the same. The audio track, a DTS HD 5.1, that's the same audio track that is on my previous 2014 Blu-ray. It's the same one that's on the Blu-ray packed in here. All the extras except for one isn't on that previous Blu-ray, but it is an old extra that has been previously released. Even the Minnesota Nice Making of documentary, I've seen it numerous times. It's a very old documentary. It's still very well done, but it's not anything new. I would like a look back on it. You get an audio commentary track with Roger Deakins. Again, the same exact audio commentary track you can have on previous Blu-rays. So that's a little bit disappointing, but it is a decent audio commentary track because, like I said, that's the standout of this movie. Despite having amazing acting and writing, it's the cinematography. It's one of the best looking films ever. So to have an audio commentary track with him, and he oversaw this transfer as well, Roger Deakins, so he takes great pride in his work, and I really do appreciate that. I just would have liked some new extras and some new audio to go along with these fantastic visuals. Now, are they 10 out of 10? I think so. I think these visuals are absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, it's already a well-shot film. You're dealing with good source material. The Blu-ray itself that I have is still a really good Blu-ray, so to upgrade it to 4K, I'm like, I just want to see them improve in little areas, and right away you notice it with the brightness being improved. It's a much cooler 4K compared to the Blu-ray. You know, the Blu-ray itself, you might see a lot more like kind of yellows, even on warm scenes in this 4K. They're a little bit more cooled off now. Some of the interior shots, they won't look as yellow. They'll look a little bit more cooler than they did in the previous Blu-ray, so you'll notice that, which is good because when they get to the exterior shots with all that snow and that almost overwhelming foggy snow, that stuff is just, oh my god, it's just beautiful. The fact that we have this bright 4K now and we're still able to hit all of those deep blacks. That scene I was talking about earlier with Steve Buscemi, his buddy in the passenger seat, and they get pulled over by those cops who I love wearing those red police uniforms. That's actually a really cool detail. Maybe it's to stand out in the snow. That's my best guess. But that scene, you know, it always looked good. For me, that's the best visual showpiece of this film, is that one scene. And now to see it on 4K, I was worried about it, and they nailed it. Absolutely gorgeous. So you're going to want to see this 4K Blu-ray just for the visuals alone. Now, everything else, like I said, pretty much exactly the same. That's a little bit disappointing. The packaging doesn't really blow me away. But these visuals, they do need to be seen, especially if you're a fan of Fargo and you're a fan of the Coen brothers. To me, like I said, this is their best film, and you're going to want to have this in your collection. But right now, I think it's $28, and it's really hard to justify that just for a visual upgrade. Unless you're like me and you're a huge fan of this film and you wanted to see it again, especially around this time of the year. We're getting into winter. It's going to start snowing, and you're going to want to watch this movie on a nice, cold snow day, and you're going to absolutely love it. But $28, a little bit hard for me to justify at this moment. If it ever drops down in price to about $20, I would say that's the sweet spot for it, because all you're really getting is a visual upgrade, which is always my biggest disappointment. You don't upgrade the extras, you don't upgrade the audio. You know, the packaging, like I said, is kind of bland for my taste. I would have liked a little bit more, you know, custom artwork for this. Make it feel a little bit special, but unfortunately we did not get that here. One of the defining traits of Shout Factory used to be their reversible cover art, and unfortunately we don't get that here as well. It kind of looks like they took the cheap route everywhere except for the visual department. And at least those visuals, like I said, are a 10 out of 10, but everything else is just going to be dragging down the rest of this. And unfortunately, I can't give this a perfect 10 out of 10 score. I have to give it an 8.5 out of 10, just because all we're getting is this incredible visual upgrade, but the pricing, packaging, audio, all that stuff leaves a lot of room to be desired. So I can't give it a perfect score, but I am still very, very happy that I grabbed this 4K Blu-ray, mainly because I'm just such a huge fan of this movie. And if you are, I don't think you'll be disappointed as well. But guys, it's also Friday, and that means it's time for our digital code giveaway. We do this every single Friday here on the channel. We ask you guys 2 digital code giveaway questions. All you have to do is answer one in the comment section below, and as long as you do that, you come back to Monday's video where we put your name on a magic wheel. We spin that wheel 2 times, and the 2 names it lands on, they have their choice of the digital codes that you've seen on your screen before you today. And we'll also be doing a 3rd wheel spin this week for the Suicide Squad that came out, I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago now, but that digital code is expiring at the end of 2023, so we're going to spin that wheel a 3rd time, and that person will just get the Suicide Squad and its digital code. So unfortunately, I guess you can't choose it, but if you don't win on the first 2 spins, to get a free code anyway, it's a pretty good deal, I think. So we'll be doing a 3rd wheel spin for that this week. And what are this week's 2 digital code giveaway questions? Well, we're talking about the Coen brothers. Huge fan of them. I want to know what you guys think of the Coen brothers. What's your favorite Coen brothers film? And if you don't really like the Coen brothers, just say, hey, not a fan of the Coen brothers. Or you can answer the second question, which is, I think this film is a dark comedy. I want to know, what do you guys think? What is your favorite dark comedy? Leave that in the comment section below as well. And then just don't forget to come back to Monday's video. And also, guys, I want to thank my director, Kevin Kruger. And I also want to thank my 2 producers, Jason Martin and Frank Rodriguez. We really appreciate your support, guys. If you want to join the ranks with them, we do have channel memberships. You can check in the description below or hit that join button. But if you don't want to support us that way, that's no problem at all. All you have to do to really support us is just hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, just get out in those streets, hopefully in Minnesota, and tell your friends about us, and we will be seeing you around.